Well, I was recording, so I'll just restate on you so quickly. Euro UD, we came from an uptrend, pretty much clear uptrend with high highs and high lows on the higher time frames, and we recently broke out of the uptrend with a recent break of the support zone, with a strong momentum to the downside on the break, and a slower retracement, which is a good signal for a setup to a short. And this test on the level will be also a test on the 61.8 fib, which is also a good signal for a potential trade to go short. So I'm just looking for price to pull back on this level, give an entry indication on this key area, and look for a trade to go short here. So entry indication means that when price pulls back on this zone, I'll be looking for a bearish engulfing candle on the level or a few rejection weeks, also on lower time frames, in order to confirm price is rejecting that zone. EuroCAD, just like other Euro pairs, uh, it's showing signs of weakness over the past week. Um, let's say past 2 weeks, and basically, I'm just looking for price to break below this next level of support resistance in order to potentially look for a trade to go short. This will be the potential trade if price breaks below this level. Euro GBP, just an update from last week, the outlook. Uh, Pretty much price hit the target from this breaker retest. This analysis was shown on the last weekly outlook. You can always rewatch the recording, and it was pretty straightforward. Clean break, slower key test, entry indication. As you can see, we have a bearish bullish engulfing candle here on the level on the test. So first rejection here with two rejection weeks, price going above with a bullish engulfing candle, pretty clear entry indication, and then price just continue higher after a little bit of consolidation. On Friday, it jumped higher very quickly. Euro JPY, yes, this was shared on last weekly outlook as well, but I'm not too sure if this trade was shared exactly on the last weekly outlook, probably on 2 weeks ago, but it ended up being in profit. Um, Euro USD, I'm just waiting for price to retrace back on this key zone. So we have clearly on the bullish side on a higher time frame, although we're seeing a very weak euro at the moment and strong dollar. So price formed this bearish structure on lower time frames, as you can see. This bearish structure where price is pulling back to retest this lower area. So at the moment, I'm just looking for price to reverse back on this pullback area to look for a potential entry to go long. So once price pulls back here, which is also really close, I'm just looking for entry indication or a potential inversion of this trend. So if this H1 trend, which is bearish on the retest of my higher time frame level, turns into a bullish trend, then that's where I'll be looking to enter for a trade to go long. Let's say here or here, depending on the market structure once price pulls back and tests the level. GBP AUD, I was looking for a breaker retest to go short. Instead, price just straight up broke the level without giving any trade setup. GBP CAD as well. I was looking for this retracement back on this higher zone. Instead, price almost pulled back to the level and dropped, not giving any entry opportunity. But currently, I'm seeing a potential trade on lower time frames. So this is a very more of a scalp trade, a lower time frame trade on the 15 minutes time frame. We're on a bearish side, which is also aligned with the higher time frame trend being bearish. Um, the M15, we have this clean break of the level, along with the 61.8 fib exactly on the key level, and a strong impulse on the break and a slower retracement. So at this point, I'm just looking for price to slowly pull back on the zone, reject on the area, and potentially continue lower to make new lows. So there will be a potential trade to go short as long as we have an entry indication on the key zone here. GBP, JPY, I was looking for this test, this trade to go long from here. By surprise, didn't pull back all the way down to the zone and then just continued higher. So this was basically a trade that I didn't take because price didn't test my level. Always respect my rule and I don't enter the trade in this case. And also we have a strong clean break on this level and a slower pullback here. So I'm just looking for price to pull back on this key zone, even though it almost touched. I will say you could say it touched the zone. If price pulls back once again and rejects, then I'll be looking for a trade to go long, or potentially I'll be looking for this H1, uh, let's say trend to turn bullish. So from this downward structure, if price starts forming a more of a bullish structure, then I'll be looking for an entry to uh, go long on this pair. So I'm just being patient on this one and waiting for uh, price to form this sort of bullish structure to go higher. GBP and ZD, after this test, price made a new high, continuing higher as predicted on the analysis. This wasn't really a trade I was looking for actually. Um, but yeah, at this point, there's a very high chance price might go higher from here as made a higher low here. So this will be the definitive high of an uptrend. So if price starts trending higher, forming an uptrend, then I'll be looking for potential trades to go long, always on the retest of the levels. So if this level does get tested, then I'll be looking for a trade to go long from here. USD JPY, very strong uptrend at the moment. So it's looking very promising for a buy trade. Price today broke out of this most recent high, very strong level of support or resistance. And the moment I'm just waiting for this impulse to finish to potentially look for a trade to go long. We don't know for sure if this is the end of the impulse, but it will be better if price makes a higher high, a little bit high, of a higher high. So this way we have room for a potential trade on the 61.8 fib. As I don't want to enter right now, as price is too much on the premium side, too much high. It's too high, so I'm not really looking to enter on this breaker retest to go long, unless price makes a much longer impulse. So as long as price makes a much more clear high here, then I will be considering a trade to go long on the retest. Yeah, that's pretty much get JPY. We missed the entry level here. Price just barely touched that zone and then continue higher, so we missed the trade by very few pips, but it's okay. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for this weekly outlook. On gold, I don't really see any opportunity on gold at the moment. It's just not really a clear trend, so I'll be waiting for a much more clear um, bias and trend on gold before entering any trade or any analysis. So yeah, that's pretty much all the setups I'm seeing. I don't really see any other setup at the moment except for these these pairs. GBP CAD very close as this is a lower time frame trade. So I recommend to monitor this pair and look for this potential breaker retest to go short, which is very high probability if price pulls back. So I just wanted to remind you guys that this setup might be happening soon in the next few hours. So just to monitor um, this pair. So as always, guys, this was recorded, so you can watch the analysis if you need to, and if you missed some of these pairs. So as always, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'll talk to you guys on the next weekly outlook. Bye bye.
Andre,
Yo,
can
yeah,
you?
sure. You have a
Okay,
question
please, can you quickly go over to NAS?
to Nasdaq.
Yeah, NAS at S&P, because I think like the last weekly outlook we viewed, I
Oh
think
yeah,
you
you're right.
have on NAS
You're
and
right. Yeah, this was a test on this level here. 1 second. Yeah, actually, here you might have been stopped out if you entered based on the break or retest. Actually, price was around here, so it formed this high and then retested here. So we had this bullish engulfing candle confirming the trade. This would have been a stop loss, either a stop loss or yeah, probably a stop loss. Or you could have re-entered somehow here. Um, after price rejected another few times the level, price was still respecting this level, all right? So also here, price never closed below this level. So any re-entry here would have been fine. For example, you could have got stopped out here, strong rejection weeks here, and price still keeping on the zone. Potential re-entry would have been around this rejection area, but would still be regarded as aggressive. So I wouldn't really recommend taking the trade in this case. So you would have probably this was most likely a stop loss in this case. It was definitely a good trade. Not every trade goes into target. So yeah, here was pretty much stop loss. Although you could still respected the level, still respected the analysis and key zone, and just made a new high here. But it's just that this rejection, this pullback was too strong, and it was basically stop hunt where it took out most of the stop losses here. Especially if you set the stop loss below the low here, you would have been stopped out here, for example.
yeah, of course, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, how about S&P? If both did the same thing, cause like this analysis was actually on NAS and S&P.
Yeah, on S&P it's a little bit different because price didn't give any entry indication here. Instead, the entry indication was at the end of the previous week. So in this case, you could have either got out break even. So if you enter, let's say here, uh, you could have either closed here in profit, or if you had a higher target, you would have been stopped out at break even because at this point we're not halfway through the target and it's above 1.5 risk to reward ratio. It's much safer to set the stop loss to break even. So in this case, I recommend setting the stop loss to break even and maybe also take partial profits. So in this specific case, you would have been either stopped out at break even, or you would just have avoided this trade on this retest because here we didn't have any entry indication. Price just straight broke through the zone instead of it's different than Nasdaq because it just broke the zone without giving any entry indication. The rejection was here where price just continued higher to making a few profits and then dropping back down. So in this case, you would have been either a break even or a trade you would have to avoid in this scenario, unless you wanted to re-enter here, but it was very risky. Re-entering here meaning buying here after price came back to the zone with a strong rejection. I would still regard this as a bit of an aggressive trade, even though it will have paid off very nicely because here you do have also the strong rejection weeks, multiple bullish engulfing candles. You could have actually, yeah, you could have okay, was a bug. You could have targeted this high here. But this I wouldn't really count this trade because it would be very aggressive re-entering after price went below here, I will still count this as a break of the zone. So I wouldn't really consider it as a coming back, price coming back immediately into the zone like it did on Nasdaq. But on Nasdaq, it was definitely a much more clear trade than SPX, where the trade was mostly on Friday, not here. Here, just price break through the zone without any entry indication, without any rejection week or bullish engulfing candle.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate.
You're most welcome, bro. All right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, yeah, all the trade. Yeah, I'm looking forward also for this Euro AUD retest because uh let's say that on Euro UD the trend is shifting, so this will be a very probably might be a rewarding trade if price manages to pull back on this level. So yeah, also Euro GBP one also something we'll consider is just like GBP UD. Something I didn't also mention is that you could find a potential trade to go long on this recent break, more of a scalp where you have this clear uptrend with the high highs and high lows, very strong trend, break above this level, a strong break on this trend, and a potential retracement on the key area. So any rejection with a bullish engulfing candle around here on this trade could be a on this pair could be a potential trade to go long, very similar to GBP UD. I mean on GBP CAD. As they are both GBP pairs, they are correlated. So GBP did this drop today after New York Open. So it's giving room for a potential scalping or intraday opportunity on both Euro GBP and GBP CAD on opposite sides, of course, because GBP CAD is shorting GBP and Euro GBP is basically going long, so it's shorting GBP as well on here. So you want to still be careful because those two they're correlated, so you're basically risking double as you're risking on two trades on a pound. So always keep that in mind.
That means taking such trade, actually one can risk a 0.5% in the both trade ID, because like it's actually taking trades against the pound currency, and if at any point pound gets to gain momentum, gain strength, that means it probably might be a stop loss for both trade
Exactly.
ID. Yeah,
Exactly.
so
Very
so
correct.
0.5 wouldn't be bad at all.
Yes, you could be risking zero point 0.5 on each of them. So you can totally risk 1% on in the total, and it will be two different trading ideas, but on the same currency. So it's a very good idea that you mentioned. Yeah. That probably what I'll be doing as well, just splitting the risk on uh, on those two trades in order to diversify a little bit, just to be safer. Because as you said, if pound goes stronger, both trades will most likely hit the stop loss. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. And as always, I wish you a great trading week ahead. And this weekly outlook might be on Saturday instead of Sunday, but I'll keep you updated on Discord. So um, on Discord and also Telegram. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.
All right. Bye. Appreciate. God
You're
bless.
welcome. Yeah, on gold, just answering very quickly on gold, I shared that I don't see any setup because gold is on a sideways trend at the moment. So you can see on the H4, at least on the H1 and H4 trend, price is very sideways, so I'm not showing any trend, so I'm not seeing any trade on gold at the moment. by my side. All right, guys. Bye bye.